Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to build some code every day. That is the assignment. So one of the first projects or assignments that I gave you guys was to build the mostly code, script, whatever you want to call it. And basically, my lens is really messed up, so I need to clean it off so it doesn't look like it's some kind of dream sequence. That's a little better. So anyway, so basically what it is a project where you're supposed to build something that's going to basically, well, two components. You have an inventory component where you input inventory items. So you have item types, right? And then you have an actual inventory in terms of how much of each item that you actually have, right? And then you need to, the second component is the tracking of which item is the most popular item. So pretty much if you have, let's say you add in cars and bikes only, you add one car, you add two bikes, so then the result should be two bikes, or not two bikes, but the result should be that you have mostly bikes. So that's the point of the program, is to identify what you have the most of. Now, I wanted you guys to submit your ideas on how to approach this problem, but what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you what my approach was, what I came up with, and here it is. So I like working outdoors. Here is my setup today. So I got the Meepo electric skateboard. Oh yeah, love it. Top speed 22 miles per hour. I got my nice Asus laptop, which I like to code on remotely. Very lightweight, very thin. And I have my Kinesis freestyle keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard, really nice and portable. It's ergonomic, folds up like that very nicely. There's the iPad, of course, and my power supply. But let's get right into it. So I'm going to get into my GitHub and show you guys the way I approach the problem. Just give me 1 second. Let me put you on the tripod right here. One moment. So I'm just going to show you the code that I put together and show you my approach to solving this problem. Let's get the keyboard out of the way. So again, the objective is to figure out what you have the most of, to input items, and then to figure out which items are the most popular, right? So I got my iPad set up here. Let's go ahead and reverse the camera so you can see. And hopefully you'll be able to see this clearly enough. Just bear with me one moment. One moment, please. There we go. Focus. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Wow. Or maybe not. Maybe you can't do it. What is that? That just made it worse. What is up with the focus? This lens is dirty on the other side as well. Let's see. There we go. Wow, it was like focused for a split second, and then it just went crazy. What is that all about? I don't understand why you're doing that. Oh, it's too close maybe? But look at that, it looks great. I don't know, whatever. Here we are. So, this is the mostly project, and this is the way that I approached it. So, this is in my GitHub repo. I have been converting to Bash, or converting back to Bash. Reason being, at some point in time in the past, I started doing corn because I had an objective. There was something that I was building that required, each shell has its advantages, right? So there was something in corn that was advantageous to that particular project. So that's why I started working with corn shell, and then I just kind of kept on using it, right? I kind of got used to it. That kind of became my default shell. So that's what I've been doing. But here's the problem. Like, well, what does it matter? What's the difference? If it has some really cool features that Bash doesn't have, why don't you just keep doing the corn shell? Well, the problem is that you have different versions of bash. There's bash sh, there's different, different implementations of it. So if I build something, I apologize, I'm referring to actually corn shell rather. So corn, there's different flavors of it. I think there's I don't know, pksh or something. Bottom line is there's different versions of corn shell or k shell, and you could write something that works on your machine, and then you give it to somebody else, and they have a slightly different version of K shell or corn shell, and something's not working properly. So portability is an issue. Bash would be a more consistent thing. Bash is usually the native shell that are going to be implemented on a Linux system. So therefore, if you want something that has maximum portability, you want to sort of give yourself the least amount of potential problems, then you want to stick with bash. So I'm starting to use bash again for that reason, because it's the right thing to do. So with that being said, click on the like button. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining in. So this is my implementation of the Mostly project. So first of all, I start with my basic note, and I got to line up this with what you guys see on the thing. So my note is random script to catalog data and point out what you have most of as you add to inventory. So that was the daily project, that the first assignment that I did. And again, the idea is do something every day. So pick something that's simple enough that you could complete it in every day. I think I did this about an hour and a half or something like that while I was commuting. So that's the note to tell you what this does. First thing I do is I touch inventory.dat. The reason why I'm doing that is because if I run this in a directory where the inventory.dat folder is not there, a file is not there, then I'm going to get an error. Now, of course, I could have done a if file exists and get all complicated, but there's in programming, there's different ways to do the same thing, and it's to you to figure out which one makes the most sense. Now, I'm trying to get this done as quickly as possible. It's a daily project. It doesn't really need to be complex. The idea is just practice. So the focus is on results in terms of completing the task, and also speed. Speed is paramount because this needs to get done today. I got tons of things going on every day, so I don't have a ton of time to be fooling around, right? So simple, get the main task done and get it done as quick as possible, right? So that being said, the fastest thing to do is to touch the inventory.dat, because guess what? If you run this in a directory where the folder, where the file, I keep saying folder, where the file is not there, touch is gonna actually create it for you. So no matter what, when you reference this file, you'll never get errors, because the file will always be there no matter what, because the first thing you're doing is either creating the file or you're updating the timestamp. That's what happens if the file is already there. File exists and you do a touch, you're gonna update the timestamp on that file. So with that being said, let's, I don't know why my screen is dimming, but that's all good. Anyway, so touch inventory.dat. So what is an inventory.dat file, first of all? Obviously, I'm sure most of you figured this out already. The inventory.dat file is your inventory. So where is my microphone? Hopefully you guys can hear me good. So the inventory.dat file is your inventory, right? Remember, the first step is create an inventory. The second step is establish what you have most of. That's what this project is, right? So this is the file where the inventory is going to live. And then I try to group my script by sections. So the first section is functions, right? So these are some functions that I created because there are certain tasks that I'm repeating, and rather than keep writing the same code over and over again, I'm just going to call the functions when I need them. So in bash, this is the syntax: inventory intake, open parentheses, close parentheses, and then you open with curly brackets. And then what happens underneath is your code that you're going to run. This is like in Python, this would be like a module that you're importing, or a class, for example. So here's all the stuff that you want to have done every time you call this, right? So echo enter item, right? And then you're going to read item, then you're going to clear, and then you're going to echo the item and put it into the inventory.dat file. And there's this kid making a bunch of noises over there, but anyway, and then you end this function by the closing of the curly brackets, as you can see over here, right? So this is what I did. So Whenever I want to do an inventory intake, which is what I call this function, try to keep my function names as logical as possible so I can always remember what they are and what they're for. So whenever you call the inventory intake function, what happens is it's going to prompt the user to enter an item, right? Enter item. Read item is going to assign whatever the user inputs to the variable called item. So it's creating a variable called item. And in that variable, you're going to put the string, whatever user enters after prompting for enter item. So enter item is displayed, right? User types in something. The read command takes that. And just to be more precise and more clear, echo enter item is going to prompt the user to enter item. And that's it. That's all that command does. So immediately after that, in the blink of an eye, the next command is going to run, which is basically to wait for user input and then assign it to the variable called item, right? So after you see this, what's actually happening, even though you don't see anything, like the read command doesn't show you anything, what's happening is your script is waiting for you to enter something so it can assign it to the variable item, right? So after you type something in, so item is car, for example, then the next thing, so now it's received a string, and when you hit enter, that's going to close out this read command. It's basically going to take that string, put it into the variable item, and then it's going to move to the next line. Next line is clear. We're just cleaning up the screen, right? Then after that, we're going to echo $item. So whatever you enter, it's going to basically display that, and it's going to input it into the inventory.dat file. So that's our first item being put into the inventory.dat file, right? And I just have a little note here, add item to inventory. Try to put as many notes as possible for yourself and for others, right? Pretty simple. Insert into file. These are some notes that I had from before. I need to do a little cleanup there, a little messy. So then I start a loop. So I say while true do. So this is an infinite loop. It's going to keep doing the same thing over and over again until something within the loop exits. Exits is the way you can get out of this, right? I think break also would apply as well. So while true do, what are you doing? You're running or calling the inventory intake, right? We know what that does. We just went over that. So we're calling the inventory intake function. So that's going to take input from the user, assign it to a variable. And now here's the sorting of the list. Sort list to get the top item, right? So I just put a blank line, echoed, parentheses, whatever, quotes. So that's going to be just a blank line, right? So now here's where the magic happens. So we grep A-Z. I wish I could line this up a little bit better. Let's line this up a little bit better. I'm going to line up what you guys are seeing with what I'm seeing a little bit better. So let me aim the camera up a little bit higher, because I'm starting visually by habit at the top of the screen, but the top of the screen is not on the stream, what you guys are seeing. So let me make it so, number one. Make it so, number one. And the stupid Bixby is being triggered. Go away, Bixby. I hate you. Okay, let's go like this. There we go. Nice. That's good enough. All right. So, and let's make this a little bit brighter. Oh, it's maximum brightness already. All right. Whatever. Let's see. Okay. So, here we go. So blank line. So here's how the magic. This is where we're gonna actually do the sorting of everything. Hopefully you guys can hear me properly. Hear me and hear me well. 1 second. Okay. So we're grepping for, and this is sloppy, I know, but I just wanted to get it done as quickly as possible. Remember, this is a daily project. You want it to be simple, fast. It's just keeping you in practice, right? So we're grepping for anything that has letters in it, whether it's lowercase or uppercase, right? We're looking for that in the inventory.dat file. So show me all the lines with letters, basically. Case insensitive. So that's going to show you every line in that file. So let's say we have car, bike, right? Take all of those lines, the result of that command, pipe it to sort U. So the U option gives you unique, right? So sort is going to take all of those lines and it's going to sort it alphabetically, right? And you can change how that works in terms of reversing it and things like that, but it's going to sort it alphabetically, right? And then it's gonna make them unique, right? I used to, when I didn't know better, maybe you guys don't know better as yourselves, I used to sort and then pipe it to unique. There's a command called unique, right? There's no need. Sort has a unique flag, right? So you can sort and unique filter in one go. So what this is doing, once again, is taking all those items in that inventory file, it's sorting them alphabetically, and then it's also truncating them to make them unique. So what I mean by that is, instead of car, bike, car, bike, if it's just cars and bikes, it's just gonna say car, bike, right? It's gonna first sort it so all the cars will be together, all the bikes will be together, all the items of the same name will be together. And then the unique flag will remove the redundancies. So then you're just gonna have basically, it's kind of like with SQL, a group by. It's like a group by type, right? So when you're done with that, so now you have a list of just the unique items in the inventory file. So now take the results of that. And again, I know that some of this is sloppy. Remember, this is supposed to be fast and easy. It's a daily exercise. If this was an official project that you're going to actually to utilize or something you're doing professionally, this is certainly not the way you do it. But this is the fast way. This is what I came up with, right? So we're going to output that into item types.dat. So the inventory.dat file has a list of all the items that you input. So it's going to look like car, bike, car, bike, car, bike, like that. It's going to look like that, right? It could be more than 2 items. It's not, I'm not saying just 2 items. Whatever the different items are, every line is going to have an item listed, right? But how many of them, you don't know. So you just created another file called item types, which has only the unique item names, right? So instead of a whole bunch of redundant data, it's just gonna say car, bike, 2 lines. Or the amount of rows in this file is gonna be equivalent to the amount of the item types, different item types that you have, right? So now we have a file with just the item types in it. And before we have a list of all the inventory items, right? So now after we do that, we again search, I'm loving it. And by loving it, I mean the YouTube app. Always with the crashing. My fingers are so greasy. I just cleaned the lens and now it's all fogged up again. But anyway, we are back. So where do we leave off? So basically we're processing this file line by line using the while read, right? Before we did a while true do, this time we're doing a while read. So what this is doing is it's going to process the file line by line, and for each line it's going to do something, right? So what it's doing is, so it says -r line do, right? Line is a variable that we're creating, right, for each of the lines that we process. What are we doing for each line? What we're doing is we're going to echo the result of this command. Whenever you see, this is command substitution. Whenever you see $sign and then you see open parentheses, close parentheses, whatever is in the parentheses is a command that you're going to run, and the output of that is going to be assigned or displayed here. So basically, you're using a command's output as a variable. So what's the way to describe it? I think what I said pretty much applies. So pretty much when we say echo and then we do $, open parentheses, close parentheses, just imagine that you can replace the $, parentheses, all the way to the close parentheses, replace that with the result of that command, right? So let's say, for example, I wanted to display the date, the current date, right? Then what I could do is I could say echo, you know what? Because you'd say, why not just do, no, that does apply. So I could do echo $, open parentheses, date, close parentheses, right? So that's going to actually display the date. Now, obviously, you could just, in a script, you could just put date, right? You could just put date on the line and it's going to run the date command and show you. But maybe you wanted to do something more advanced. You wanted to have the date command and then pipe it to something where you're going to encrypt the values or whatever you're going to do. Maybe you wanna change whatever. The bottom line is, if you have some kind of command where you're doing different things, and you want the result of that to be sort of displayed somewhere, you can use the command substitution. So that's all that's doing. So what we're doing here is we're displaying this command. So this command is doing what? grep-c, that's counting, right? We're counting the occurrences of the string that we're looking for. What's the string we're looking for? $sign line. What is $line? That's the variable that we created before with the while read. So remember, while read is reading each line of the file, right? It's reading each line of the file and assigning this variable line, right? So what we're doing here is we're counting from that line output, right? The occurrences of that in the inventory.dat file, right? So again, grep-c is to count something. What are you counting? You're counting the string that was represented by $line. That string is represented by what the while read pulls from the file, right? So that's going to be the item type, right? So it's going to be, so basically you could consider this to say grep-c car inventory. How many times do you see car in inventory, right? That's the first iteration, right? It's a loop, so it's going to go through again to the next line. The next time, the value of line is going to be changed to the next item in the file. So it's going to be grep-c, if the last one was car, this one will be bike. So how many bikes are in the inventory .dat, right? And then what you're doing after that is you're outputting the results of this into an updated inventory.dat file. So what's the result? The result is, and by the way, notice it's comma line, right? So I want you to pick up on two different things. When you do a grep-c, you're going to get a number. That's the result of a grep-c, a number. You're saying how many of this are in there. So the result of that command is a number, right? So then we're doing, this is all in quotes, right? So this is something that's going to be displayed to the user. So then you're doing a comma something else, this variable. This variable, like we established before, represents the item name, right? So we're going to have basically the amount of the item, comma, the item name. That's our schema. That's our database schema. That's our CSV. That is the comma delimited file we call inventory.dat. Right? Inventory.dat is a comma delimited file, as is this file that we're creating, updated inventory. So updated inventory is a comma delimited file, just like how you would have in a database where you have two different fields. The first field is the amount of the item. The second field is the item name. So you have 5, comma, cars, 10, comma, bikes, right? That's the format of this file. So you're creating a file that has each unique item name and how many of them, right? So then the final thing that we're doing, because now we need to get to the top. What's the item that is the highest amount? So I did an echo mostly, right? So this is what they use. This is a result. This is what this was all about, is producing a result of a response where it says you have mostly blank. Right? What do I have most of? You have mostly blank. So it's going to say mostly, and then it's grepping for any numbers in the updated inventory file. Now remember, the updated inventory file is a file that has, each row has an amount of each item and the item name. So it's going to pull up those rows. It's going to sort them in reverse order. That means the highest number will be on top. And then there is this -t option, which is very critical, but I'm not going to tell you what that means. I want you guys to look it up. What is sort-t? Sort-t, what is that? So reverse is going to reverse the order, put the top number on top, but t does something else. You guys are going to look that up. And then we have -k1 -g. So you are going to look up what the T option means, the K option means, and the -G option. And I want you guys to put it in the comment section below what these things mean, what those options mean. So finally, we're going to do a head-1. Head-1 is going to show you the top row of this file. And then we're doing an awk-f field print, right? Awk-f, the fields are delimited by a comma, as you see there. and then what you're printing is in the curly brackets, print $2. So field 2. Field 2, which can be found by looking at the field delineation or delimiter, which is the comma, as you can see indicated here, right? So -F comma, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So I want you guys to, you guys can use this as a note to try to recreate what I did. Or what I'd rather you do is use this as inspiration to come up with your own way of doing the same thing, solving the same problem, and perhaps a better way of solving the same problem. And then in the end, I do a cleanup. I just do rm item types.dat to remove that item types file, because the next time around, basically, we don't want this old data in there, right? So I'm cleaning up those files. So on rm item types.dat, probably not the best way to do it. Perhaps you might want to actually clean the file rather than delete the file. So you could do like a sed maybe to delete all the lines or something like that. But that's the way I did it. I just did whatever came to mind the fastest, and that's the method I chose. I'm also deleting the updated inventory file, and then I'm just echoing a blank line, and then we can see we're ending the loop from earlier, and that's it. And then the bottom here is just my sloppy code work, which is basically, initially the way I was designing this script was by section, and I had display item, and I was going to put the code there, loop over, and then, you know, so I'm just, it's kind of like bullet points, kind of giving me structure to how the code is going to be built. And then I kind of ended up changing that plan and ended up going on a different sort of tangent. But in the end, I should have removed these because they're no longer applicable. You can even see I started some loop logic down here that I ended up not using. So yeah, that's just needs to be cleaned up. So that's it. That's all there is to it. That was the project, the first project that I did. So the next one that I did, I don't think I advertised this one to you guys, is the next assignment is a salary calculation program. Now, once again, these are supposed to be very, very simple, scripts, right? Very, very simple, bare bones, right? So the way that, just keep that in mind. So what this is supposed to do is basically the user enters how much money they make a month, and it's going to give you their annual salary. The user inputs how much money they make in an hour, and it's going to give them their monthly salary. It doesn't have to be that exact way. Like you could do, if you give me your hourly, I give you your monthly and your annual. Or if you give me your annual, I give you your monthly and your hourly. There's different ways to approach it. But the bottom line is, the main goal that has to be accomplished is, I want you to create something where someone enters a salary, either hourly or annually. And from that, the script is going to display how much money the person would make with that amount. And in terms of annually or hourly. So if the user gives you annual, you give them hourly or monthly. If they give you monthly, give them hourly or annual, right? Any kind of variation of that would be good. Now, if this has been helpful to you guys appreciate this series, which we're gonna be doing on a daily basis, click on the like button. Really appreciate it. It really makes a difference, letting me know that, hey, this is stuff you guys enjoy, so I'll do more of it. Your feedback is very, very, very important. So this is the Computer Programming University, and we are out of focus yet again, but it's all good. So that's it. So now I'm going to wonder yet again why my lens is all, oh, nice, nuberific. I had my power pack connected to the camera, and when I pulled the camera, I almost knocked the whole thing over. The whole kit and caboodle. Kit and canoodle. All right. So there you have it. I am going to go and get something to eat and have some fun on the Meepo, which I absolutely love. Electric skateboard, 22 miles per hour. Absolutely love it. And I love my, what is this thing called? The Cyborg? Blitz, not Cyborg. Or maybe it's a Blitz Cyborg, I don't know. but this thing is super bright. You can see that. I know it's in the daytime right now, but trust me, this is very, very bright. I'll give you guys a seizure with that. And that beep, if you heard it, was the this automatically turns on when the wheels move. So if you look on the inside here, you can see there's the power. So anyway, that's all there is to it. This is Computer Programming University, and until next episode, I will see you next time. Salut, bonjour, adios, arrivederci. Wie geht's? Das ist gut. Oh, aspiring cloud expert. Aspiring cloud expert just shows up out of the blue, making his first comment as I leave. His or her? I assume his, because the reality is most programmers are male. There are some pretty good female programmers, but not many of them. So a good guess would be that you're a guy. But anyway, salut!